Well, I was born and a small person and got big very quickly. My mom and dad had some problems I was unaware of, like when you're 9 years old, you know. They put me in a minstrel show and singing, dancing, playing the accordion, the guitar, and all that. And I was in that about 9.5 years till I was 18, traveling all around the South, doing very un-PC stuff as entertainment. I went then to Cuba. I just quit the show when I was 18 and went to Cuba and had a great time there under Batista. It was like Vegas in the Caribbean. Then here comes Castro, and there goes Gary. I went up to New York and studied with Sanford Meisner and made all the rounds. But some cities you have good luck in, some bad, like people, and New York wasn't a lucky place for me. So I hopped a Greyhound and came out to Hollywood, and that right away everything gelled in Hollywood, and I worked there 49 years before they ran me out. I retired.
Wake up, Bill.
I got an agent, was doing the rounds. Strangely enough, I did a couple of plays in Hollywood where they make movies. The agent had a friend, Lois Eyre, was I think Misha Eyre's sister, and she had a drama school on Sunset Boulevard in the old Taft Mansion. And I took drama lessons there with her, and didn't really learn much, but it's good. Acting is an exterior type of creativity, and I really learned to be less introverted and more confident in myself and working with other people and doing scenes from plays and things. But I have to say it was nothing like when I got to the movie, where emphasis is more on technology often than acting.
Here comes Mr. Brooks. Wonder if he's heard.
Probably not.
I got a call to go out for a movie, and so I thought I'll walk. You know, it was about a 2-hour walk. I'm young and it's beautiful out. And then the agent called to say, don't go. They only want professionals, people in the unions, Screen Actors Guild. I never got the call, you know, no modern technology then, no cell phones or anything, and I went walking right in. And they all looked at me real strange, and it turned out I looked just like the girl I would be playing the brother of. And so they just gave me the script and no reading or anything, and they said we're shooting it in a month. Well, I couldn't drive a car for one thing in New York, Cuba and everything. I never needed to drive. So the director, Dick Kunha, and the writer, Ralph Brooke, he said, can you drive a car from his office, the director? And I looked at Ralph, and he said, say yes. And so I said, oh, sure, yeah. And he said, now go learn. So in a month's time, I studied how to drive a car. But at any rate, I came back and I got my script and went up there. I didn't know a thing about movie making, and they were all so patient and nice. Of course, I don't think they knew I didn't know a thing about. I didn't tell them this was my first film.
Say, have you heard about it, Mr. Brooks?
I've been up in the mountains for 3 days. I haven't heard anything.
It was awful, Wayne, just awful.
What was awful?
Poor Harold Banks. I found him this morning, and he was
smashed to death. Every bone in his body was broken. I saw it.
Dick Kunha was a genius. He'd been a commercial director up to then, and Ralph Brooks suggested, let's make some movies. Ralph quoted him as saying, he said, well, okay, that sounds like fun. I should make $3.70 off that. But at any rate, his first movie was Giant from the Unknown. Dick was a fine fellow. He was Hawaiian. He was just starting out his family, and I don't know, he had no sense of career. I don't think he was thinking he was going to be a big-time movie director, because he only did 6 films, and they all made money. It wasn't a question of that. And on this film, he acted as his own director of photography, too, which is like kind of a schizoid experience when you're directing. You have almost 2 people. It's worse than acting and directing, I think.
When I turned around, it was gone. Something brushed against the side of my face. Something cold and damp.
Well, this thing, whatever it was, did you get a look at it?
No, it was dark as the inside of your pocket when it happened. I couldn't hardly see nothing at all, but something was there.
Everybody attached was A1. Jack Pierce did makeup, that did Frankenstein and The Mummy. Buddy Bear, who had been in a lot of movies, was a heavyweight contender for championship boxing. We had Ed Kimmer and Sally Fraser and Morris Anker. Nobody will know the names to it, but they'll know the faces.
After dinner, I'll change into my field clothes and meet you in the lobby.
Mr. Brooks, you said you weren't going.
Now, don't worry, Charlie. We'll give you a lift.
Oh, that's all right, Mr. Brooks. Ann and I can use the station wagon.
I first arrived on the set, and I was reasonably scared because I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to admit I didn't know what to do. The first shot is me driving around the corner and show my new driving abilities. I'm driving around the corner with the girl I look just like the brother of in a 1955 Ford station wagon. And we're up in Big Bear, California, where all the trees and mountains are here in Southern California. They shot Trail of the Lonesome Pine on all the sets we worked on. We come ripping around the hill, and we drive down to the long shot, and I get out of the car and scream, "The sheriff's on his way back with the body now." And then we go in for our close-ups. Well, I did pretty good. I got up to the parking spot and jumped out of the car and yelled that, and I forgot to put the brake on. Off she went backwards towards a bunch of people in the town that was watching us shoot. And I ran after the car and jumped in and got the brake on just in time. And Dick Kung Ha gave me a strange look, and he said, "We'll do it again." And I had to inform her name was Jolene Brand. I said, I got to tell you, we're going to do take two. I have never driven a car before now. And she, like this, she froze. And I said, "It's okay, don't worry, don't worry." So off we came again, coming around the corner and roaring down into town. And I jumped out. I stopped too fast, and she fell off the seat on the floor. But for the long shot, it was okay. You couldn't see her. And I threw the door open. "Sheriff's on his way back with the body now." And Dick came over and says, "Car has brakes, doesn't it?"
I'm telling you, there's something mighty strange going on around here. First, the cattle and the horses ripped apart. Then old man Banks is found dead under mighty peculiar circumstances. Just ain't natural.
And I learned, too, I'm in a campsite, and I'm pouring coffee for the professor and the leading man, and I'm bending over, and I spill the coffee on Ed deliberately. That was supposed to be that. But then I look up, and I into the camera, right at the director, and I say, "You want me to go on?" And he says, "Not anymore, no."
Hey, what are you doing?
Gee, I'm sorry. Can I help? Can I do something?
No, thanks.
Can I spill you some coffee? You know what I mean, sir.
No, thanks, Charlie. I've had enough.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
And then there was a shot where I had to shoot the giant coming down the hill at me, and he was 6'8", and I was 6'2", but even so, and he's 300 pounds, all muscle. And I have my Winchester, and I'm pointing it up at him, and he says, "If you shoot me where you've got that gun aimed, you're going to kill the giant." This is the end of the movie. They decided not to use me killing the giant. You hear off camera, you hear 3 shots, and they named me Charlie Brown for some reason. And I even had a dog named Snoopy, but when Buddy walked out of his tent in his full makeup, the dog took one look, yelled, and ran off into the woods, and we never saw him again. And Buddy says to me, "Well, dogs are scared of bears." So I knew I was going to like Buddy right away. He was a good guy. I had a problem always in acting and in filmmaking, not on the stage. I could remember the line, I forget where I was supposed to stand, and if I remember where to stand, I forgot the line, So that put 2 strikes right there against me. In 6 days, 6 nights, we shot the whole thing, an hour and 13-minute movie. Well, we had to change things because we had a blizzard come up, and we weren't supposed to have a blizzard in the story. So Dick right away, he says, "Okay, no problem. We just keep shooting." And he added a line of Ed Kimmer to say, "Well, we're going up to Devil's Crag, which is above the snow line. It snows unexpectedly sometimes." What a blizzard. I got a middle ear infection because after the giant threw me down on the ground, I laid there for a long time in the scene of, what happened to you, Charlie? Where we're going? Where's the giant and everything? And then I'm getting colder and colder. Look at George going into convulsions. And I did her a month. It took me to get rid of that. I couldn't hear anything. Well, I guess you'd say it was a rough shoot, but it was a fun shoot too. One critic said I could have done without the fake snow scenes. And then it was real snow and we were dying in it. And I thought, oh man.
Easy, fella, we'll get you back to camp.
I tried to empty a whole clip into him, like you said, but the gun jammed. I got him, though. Hit him 3 times.
He was a master at lighting night scenes. When you see the film, there's several scenes where it's pitch dark, it's night. He shot night for night and day for day. He never faked it. But you can see everybody in those night scenes. He has it lit where you see the darkness, but you also see the people. And there's a scene as an homage to Frankenstein, where they were chasing down the monster, heading for the castle with the torches and everything in the dark. And we have a scene like that where he's chasing, they're chasing the town folks, the giant from the unknown. It was originally called the Giant of Devil's Crag, but I think Giant from the Unknown was easier to say. But he rarely did more than 2 takes. He'd planned the whole thing out. He knew what he wanted when he was shooting. The only problem was, of course, he had to keep changing everything because of the blizzard and because of logistics, different things that went on. One shot, Sally Fraser, the female lead, Ned Kimmer, the male lead, had this love scene in front of the lake. There was a lake up there by the old mill. And the bird wouldn't shut up. I guess it had a nest up there, and every time they would do their love scene and start to kiss, and the bird would go, ah, ah. Everybody got so mad they threw rocks at it and everything, but it wouldn't. It just almost knew when then they yell action, hit wait, and then go into its scream again. So they gave up, and that's one scene back at the studio they shot with a backdrop, and you can see the rippling lakes not rippling.
Well, thank you for those kind words, sir. You've no idea what a relief it is to hear something besides bones, armor, giants. I sometimes forget I'm a woman.
It was a great learning experience. They used to call those films 6-day wonders, and they'd shoot 100 of them in Hollywood, and they would shoot them literally in 6 days. You could work on Saturday then for the union, and I got $289 for the 6 days, and I had 214 went for SAG, 30 went for the government, and my 10%. I made about $10 on the movie. It didn't take much to live in those days. Basic wage was 75 cents an hour, but and I ushered at Grauman's Chinese in between gigs, and you could live off easy $40 a month, and you weren't rich, but you weren't starving poor or anything. But I made a wealth of learning and knowledge and everything out of it, and some good friendships too. It helped me more with doing other things than just acting. You know, acting is good for anyone. They'll come out of themselves. I found working as an executive at studios was more profitable, though you do like 3 times less the work and 10 times more the money. So I worked in various capacities at Warner's and Columbia, Cinema Center Films, and Disney. And my parents, you know, what could have been a terrible thing, they gave me a vocation. They got me into a business that only a crazed psychotic like me could champion myself in.